This is Support is Sexy, episode 91, with happiness expert Dr. Jen Riday. Welcome to the Support is Sexy podcast. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, producer, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I talk to women entrepreneurs who share their journeys and the true stories of their wins and their lessons, and give you insight and inspiration to take your business and your life to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here. You know, it just would not be the same without you. So today is Monday. Happy Monday. If you're listening to this in real time or whenever you're listening to this, welcome. And today's guest, we have Dr. Jen Riday. And Dr. Jen has a Ph.D. in human development and family studies, and she is a women's happiness expert. And what I love about her business is the fact that she is focusing on happiness, and something that we need to take much more ownership of. I won't say control of, but ownership of our own happiness, our own self-care. So what we learned in this episode, Dr. Jen talks about her personal experience in hitting rock bottom and then coming back and embracing and taking ownership of her own happiness. She talks about how to get over the quote unquote shoulds. Also, how to move beyond social expectations, the importance of putting your oxygen mask on first. We've heard that before, and Dr. Jen, as a mother of 6 lovely children, certainly knows about this. Also, how to figure out what makes you happy and choose that for yourself each day. She talks about the power of meditation, why it's important for moms to set boundaries, especially with those you love, and also how to let go of control and let others you love step up for you, which is part of Support Being Sexy, remembering it even with the people you love and the people that you want to help, creating space, if you will, to let them step up for you. So this is a really great episode, tightly packed full of great stuff. I know you're going to enjoy it. So without further ado, Dr. Jen Riday. So Jen, thank you so much for being here on an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Elayne. This will be fun.
Excellent. Now, the first question I ask everyone, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. Well, I'm a mom of 6, and after I had my last daughter, I kept asking myself, well, what's next for me? What's going to be my quote-unquote big girl job? Mm-hmm. And I guess I kind of felt that I would go into life coaching, and that's when I fell in love with it. Just kind of doing the next phase of life after doing the stay-at-home mom thing.
Now, what was life like for you as a little girl? What was a young Jen Riday like?
I grew up on a farm in Iowa, and so I worked very hard, not as hard as my brothers, but I was in charge of the cooking, especially during harvest season. So I guess I would say I grew up with a work ethic. I come from kind of German and Danish heritage, and we just valued work and honesty and all those farm traits, you know. I grew up playing basketball and having lots of fun in rural Iowa. It was a hearty, down-home upbringing.
What would you say were some of your greatest influences growing up?
Well, my parents taught me 2 things primarily. Number 1, work hard, and number 2, be honest. And so those definitely stuck, and they make sure those values continue to stick because they notice those traits in my kids, or when they don't notice those traits in my kids, the values are coming forward through the generations.
Right. Now, how do you think who you were as a young person has sort of evolved into who you are today as an entrepreneur?
I have a really good ability to dig in and just get the work done. I think my mom taught us to be very confident and to be our own person. So I remember I would show up to high school sometimes with no makeup, and I wouldn't do my hair. I just rolled out of bed, and I had the confidence to pull that off, and people loved it. No one cared. And I remember my brother wearing purple shorts with green spandex leggings just to be silly, and he could pull that off as well. So I think there's something my mom gave us that's this amazing confidence. In fact, both of my brothers are also entrepreneurs. So we just love being our own bosses and have the confidence to know we're on the right path for us. We don't need that external voice of reassurance and approval.
Confidence and this ability to just be yourself and have fun, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, in your business as an happiness expert, right? A happiness
Hmm.
expert, a
Hmm.
life coach, and you help women find greater light and meaning. I love that. Greater light
Hmm.
and meaning as a women's happiness expert. Now, what does
Hmm.
it mean to be a happiness expert?
Well, the foundation of that began in my own journey as a stay-at-home mom for my 6 kids. In the middle of that journey, I had tried and tried and tried to be the perfect mom, the perfect parent and wife, and just to do it all because I have a PhD in human development and family studies, which means I know what the research says. And I had a very high expectation for myself. But then I hit a rock bottom because logistically and energetically, no one can pull that off for long term. And I saw many other moms, working moms and stay-at-home moms who were similarly burning out. The social expectations of what a good mom is perhaps aren't really attainable in the long term.
Now,
So,
sorry to interrupt, did you have your
mhm.
PhD before you had your children or during that span of time or?
Oh yeah, good question. I earned my PhD. Let's see, I earned my master's when my first son was born. In fact, I had to take him in his car seat to the computer lab to finish one last paper, and
Mm,
someone turned around and heard him whimpering and said, "What do you have under there? A puppy?" And I said, "No, it's my
that would
baby."
be my baby.
Yeah, and my second son was born when I finished my PhD. In fact, my husband and I both graduated with our PhDs at the same time. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, I made the choice to stay at home with my kids because I had learned all this research about, mom can do it best and attachment parenting and I knew we wanted a big family, so I didn't want to pay for all that childcare anyway. So both combined, I did the stay-at-home mom thing. I loved it and I learned the importance of self-care. So I hit this low point and I realized no woman should feel like this. And so as I finished up the whole stay-at-home mom thing, my youngest daughter turned 2. I made the choice to become a life coach so I could help women find greater happiness in that parenting journey or the work parent balance. And calling myself a women's happiness expert, I feel like I really hit the low point that most of us do hit. And I help women strategize and figure out how they can find happiness in the midst of that busy chaos and all the social shoulds that inflict us, the good mom syndrome that is out there, and to let all of that go and find out what really makes them happy on an individual basis.
And how did you get through that time with getting from, as you said, you hit sort of a rock bottom and then sort of making your way out of that period? What did it for you that brought you back before you decided to offer this to other women?
That's a great question. Prior to my rock bottom, I continually expected others to help me feel happier, especially my spouse. He wasn't doing such and such according to what society said he should be doing. He wasn't cooking enough or helping me clean enough or whatever, even though he was a phenomenal dad and really a great husband too, but I could only see the lack. And
Mm-hmm.
then in this place of blaming everyone else for my lack of happiness, I could go nowhere. But at the rock bottom after a miscarriage, I shifted and I decided I'm going to be happy no matter what. I am done with feeling like this. It was simply a choice. And I know people say that has happened to them before too, but you have to go through it to understand. I just said I'm going to be happy. So I started scheduling all kinds of fun self-care and let my spouse make all the dinner and deal with the kids. I went to yoga, I would go on walks, I would go out of town. And at first, I had to fight hard not to think that was selfish. But when I would come back from these self care weekends or just an hour at a yoga class, I was a way happier mom in person. And I came to realize that the greatest gift I really could give my family was my own happiness because it made everyone happier. It's contagious. And so learning that message was so empowering for me that I love sharing it with other women, giving them hope that even though there's a rock bottom for them, they can come out and be 100% in charge of their happiness, regardless of their spouse or their kids or what hardships might be coming. It's all really just this attitude and decision to be happy and go forward.
Thank you for sharing that. And I love that idea. It's actually one of the things I was going to ask you that many people talk about. Happiness is a choice. And for some of us, that's sort of hard to get our heads around, but you just gave a perfect example of how you made a decision. I'm going to be happy.
Right. And I decided to figure out what makes me happy, not what society says should make me happy, because I found that being with my kids 24/7 wasn't making me happy. Maybe I'm different than the next person. Sewing or making bread did not make me happy. So figuring out what it was for me.
Right. And that's right. Happiness is different for everyone.
Exactly.
So how do you help your clients or the women that you work with or women who are part of your group sort of find their happiness? I'm sure, as we just said, it's different for everyone, but what are some of the things that you offer to them and that you could share with our listeners of how to get to that point of deciding to be happy and to choose happy?
Okay, perfect. Well, it starts with knowing how you feel and really getting to know yourself. So I like to encourage clients to look at the things that energize them, make a list, and the things that drain them. And this exercise alone can be so eye-opening for people because they've never thought about it before. So, for example, a walk in nature really gives me a boost in energy. And fighting with a teenager, my 15-year-old, completely drains me. Putting that on paper and seeing what's bringing positive energy and what's taking it helps women to work on increasing the things that build and decreasing the things that drain. So from there, I also teach meditation, just the morning meditation. It's 10 minutes. I have a membership site called vibratehappyliving, and all the members there get a weekly guided meditation that's just 10 minutes long, and then they keep access to all the past meditations. So they have something limited, 10 minutes, quick and easy, that they can do maybe before they even get out of bed or right before they go to bed, that will draw their attention back to how they feel and remember that they are a person with needs and feelings and emotions, and that all comes first. It's the foundation of everything else they have to do in life, being with their kids, going to work, being a spouse, whatever the case may be. So yeah, I would say those are two of the starting points: learning to figure out what energizes and drains, and also learning the art of meditation.
Now, for the things that drain you, if there are things that you that are sort of part of life or things that you have to do or certainly you don't want to do, like you said, it might be arguments with your 15-year-old, and your 15-year-old might not be on the same page of we're not going to argue anymore because they're 15 and that's what they do. So how do you handle the things that are, or for some other people, maybe it's work or it's something else. How do you feel like is it just, as you said, to increase the things that bring us joy to sort of help balance that out? Or is it attacking those things that drain us and figuring out how to diminish them or end them?
Well, I like the analogy of the cup that so many have used before. You have energy going into the cup and energy going out. So if you do have something you have to deal with, like a stressful 15-year-old, and those problems don't end, I then try to focus on refilling the cup a little more after those negative interactions with yoga or deep breathing or time, maybe watching a favorite TV show, whatever feels good to me. And also, in the midst of those interactions, I can have this awareness that I don't need to go on and on discussing this issue. I have every right to build that boundary right there and say, you know what, son, I gave you my answer and I'm completely done. And then to shut the door in his face in a calm way and say, if you need to talk about this another time, I'll be available tomorrow or whatever. It's a powerful boundary, but moms need to realize that they have that option and that right. They don't have to feel drained and depleted all the time.
That's a great tip, because I think what you said for moms and for everyone, especially, a quote that I heard from someone, Paul Carrick Brunson, who's a relationship coach, but he said one of the easiest ways to turn someone you love into a bully is to not set boundaries.
Ooh, I love that.
I love that.
I might steal that.
I know, totally steal it. I'll send you Paul's name just so you can know it's getting credit at least once. But I heard it at an event. We were actually there to record him, and he mentioned it, and it just really hit me because not just setting boundaries with people in general, but with people you love, as you just mentioned with, your children. I know it's hard because these are people you love, but if you don't set boundaries, you can turn them, even if they're not consciously being a bully, obviously they're just being who they are.
Right.
So I love that too.
Well, and that reminds me when I was at my low point and still blaming my lack of happiness on my spouse or my kids or my circumstances, I remember I would go longer in arguments. It was almost like I wanted to validate the fact that I'm unhappy at some subconscious level, and establishing that boundary also with my spouse. Oh, you're clearly out of sorts. I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. It's just so empowering, and it's so much less draining than going around on something. So
Yes,
that really works.
for sure. And is that something that you also help the women that you work with sort of work through as well?
Yes. So in Vibrate Happy Living, we're kind of covering everything. I'm kind of I have lots of interests. So I don't know what the word I'm thinking of, but multifaceted.
Right.
But we talked about self-compassion in August, and we talked about relationships just now in October. And in November, we're talking about simplifying and decluttering. So it's a lot of fun just to cover lots of topics, and the members will ask questions. It's a general big picture approach to happiness and balance and boundaries and all of those good things.
I love it. And the website for people to find out more, it's vibratehappyliving.com.
Correct.
Right. Excellent. So I'll make sure I have links to that, but just in case anyone is listening and wants to check it out right away. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that you posted actually on, I believe it's on Instagram. I love to pull quotes from people. You posted the reminder to put your own oxygen mask on first, which is sort of what we've been talking about. And
right.
as a mom of 6 and a business owner, and as you just mentioned, as a woman with many interests, how do you remind yourself to take care of yourself first? Because even though you're very aware of this, I would imagine there's still times where you slip back into this. Maybe, I don't want to project that. But for most people, we still slip back into those moments of, I'm doing it again. I'm taking care of everyone else first and feeling stressed myself.
Yeah, I think the measuring stick for me is how I'm treating my family. If I'm getting snippy and frustrated, I automatically see I'm out of balance. So then I'll try to get more sleep. That's probably my first go-to. And then maybe schedule a massage or go to do some yoga, those kinds of things. And also, as I've practiced meditation over the years, I've really learned to connect with how I feel. And I truly believe the greatest gift I can give my family is my own happiness. And that might sound trite, but prior to this realization, I was giving lots of external things. Like I did bake bread a lot, and I would decorate these amazing cupcakes for birthdays, and I was exhausting myself. But I think deep down, my family knew I was deeply unhappy. And I thought, I don't want my kids to remember me as an unhappy mom. That is so sad. So now I've given up all of that stuff, everything, because I'm going to be happy no matter what. I want my kids to remember that I loved life. I loved what I was doing. And if there's something I don't love, I drop it. Mm-hmm. So it was really empowering for me to give up the control. And if I don't have a meal made, I just let my husband deal with it. And more often than not, we love what he makes. Fried potatoes and an amazing salad dressing. That's all we need. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we had salad, we had some potato. He'll throw out some salami because he's from Europe and he loves salami. But who says we have to have a perfect gourmet meal? We covered all the food groups and I stayed happy. So that's kind of where it all ties together, is recognizing I don't have to match the image on a magazine cover. My home doesn't have to either. My kids don't have to either. And I'm going to be happy no matter what, so I can teach my kids how to do that.
I love that. And I love this idea, as you said, of things not having to be perfect. And do you feel like because you sort of gave your husband, for lack of a better word, space to sort of step up and say, okay, I'm going to make dinner tonight, as opposed to, as you said, feeling the control you may have in the past where you felt like it may have had to be a certain way or that kind of thing. It's sort of giving him an opportunity to step in and make dinner some nights or whatever else he can step in and do.
Oh, yeah. And the more... it's kind of becoming miraculous to me. I'm so surprised as I've let go with my needing to do my business and have time for the kids. I can't really manage the house fully. So we've hired a housekeeper, and I would say he cooks 80% of the time now,
wow,
which is great. But what I've noticed is I really love his salad dressing. And the first time I tried it, I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm never buying another kind again. This is so good. And all it is half vinegar, half good olive oil, salt and minced garlic, but it's so good. I don't know what ratios he's using. And I could see a little pride, a little spark of pride in his eyes. And then
Oh,
I noticed every day after that week, that salad dressing was out. He wants to impress me. And I had overlooked that for so long by trying to control everything. And it just keeps growing. I think this year he's going to do the turkey at Thanksgiving because I've been praising everything he's doing so much, genuinely feeling appreciative of it. And I just think I wish I had stumbled upon this years ago.
it's wonderful, but it's like a renewed interest in or finding out other things that you might not have even known about that salad dressing, for
simply
example.
by allowing him that space and also appreciating it.
I love that. That's great. Now, what about the rest of your family? How have they responded to this sort of new you, for lack of a better word? And I ask because you're reminding me of a conversation I had with the woman, Doreen Oliver, who's a playwright, and she has two sons, and one has autism, and she wrote a play about it. But at the time, she was being at home with the kids, and she just had this passion to do something else. And she said at first she felt like it would disrupt things too much, as I'm sure you may have experienced. But then she just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this, and it might be a little inconvenient for everyone else to get used to this new me and what I'm working on, but she needed to do it for herself to feel happy, and the play got great reviews, etc. For you, how has everyone in your family, especially your kids, you have 6 children, responded to this new you?
Well, I try to keep my work hours between 9 and 3 while they're at school. I will work on Saturdays when they're having computer time or whatever, which they crave and love, as most kids. I might also take an evening or two, but I don't feel like it's really changed anything. We've always really taught our kids to do chores. Our kids do almost all the tidying up. They load the dishwasher. Let's put it this way. I hope this doesn't sound terrible, but I feel like I'm the CEO of the family and my job is to delegate. And if I'm doing too many household tasks or cooking or whatever, then there's no way I can be mom and have this business. That's how we run it. I'm kind of in charge of scheduling and delegating and overseeing,
Right.
not in a bossy way, but I can't do it all, or
Right.
I wouldn't be this happy person I want to be. And it's not in a selfish way or whatever, but so
it sounds like a smart way, just to let you know.
I think so. I think
sounds
so.
Smart.
You can tell I'm still coming to terms, wrapping my brain around how this all works. But so one thing, my kids seem to be proud of the fact that I'm doing this. I'm not just a stay-at-home mom, which is wonderful. I did it all those years, but we do family prayers together. And one of my sons, it was so sweet the other day, he prayed, please bless mom's business to be amazing. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're totally watching and they care. They think it's neat and they support it. So I love it. I have great kids.
That's fantastic. It sounds like you have great kids for sure. So what does your support network look like, and how does the group that you formed to sort of nurture you as well? I'm just interested in that side of it, because a lot of times we're leaders of these groups and things that we do, but it also does a lot for us.
Okay. Well, I would say my greatest support comes from my best friend who lives in New Hampshire. Her name is Kit. She gets my business because she's a woman, so we can talk about that, but she always just gets me emotionally as well. My spouse is good at this logistical support I talked about. Emotional, I would say he's okay, but I prefer to go to my best friend. Mm-hmm. But online, I have these networks of entrepreneurs I work with. I would say they really get it. We can just go on Facebook and say, I'm having this problem. What would you do? This person said this. How would you handle it? So that's my network so far. And I have also a VA that helps me with my podcast. Oh, that's called Vibrate Happy Women, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I would say that's my team so far. I would like to grow it a little bigger in the future, but that's who I rely on to continue going forward in my business.
And how would you say entrepreneurship what has it taught you about yourself as a woman?
Well, entrepreneurship has taught me most of all about fear. I used to have this image that all those people at the top were lucky or were just super confident or just super connected. But what I've learned is they're all afraid too. Every single person who has succeeded or who has started a business is overcoming massive fear all the time, every day, dancing with the fear. And I love Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert because she says fear is along for the ride. That's fine. but we put it in the back seat. We never let it drive. And so I've learned to kind of lean into the fear a little bit. Something that scares me almost always reaps bigger dividends. And so I'm starting to have fun with this dancing with the fear thing. So that's the main thing I've learned.
I love that. And I'm actually reading Big Magic right now. I started it earlier this week, so I'm excited.
Awesome. You'll
finish
love it.
I know. She's so great. Already I'm so into it. She's such a great writer. I mean, which we all know, but it just you just flow along with it. Now, in closing, if you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would it be and what would you say?
Well, I hope this isn't too cliche, but I'm going to have to go all the way to the top, and I would thank God, because it was kind of that voice of intuition or listening to God or a higher power that led me to become a life coach. And I feel like that guidance or that feeling of being called to know that this is exactly what I should be doing has been the foundation of the confidence necessary to go forward and to dance with that fear like I talked about. So yes, I guess I would take it all the way to the top and thank God.
I love that. And the fact that you answered that call, because a lot of us get that call and then avoid it because of the fear. We're afraid to answer it. Yes,
Right.
yes. Now tell us, how can we support you? I'll have links to your website, vibratehappyliving.com, and of course your podcast. What are some other ways that people can support you and to find you on social media?
I have my main website at jenriday.com, JENRIDAY. And then, of course, Vibrate Happy Living, like you mentioned. And also I'm on social media as Jen Riday, JENRIDAY. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the big ones.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here. This was fun. Thank you for taking your afternoon while your daughter was napping to talk to us.
Thank you for having me, Elayne. This is great.
Excellent. Now, what is, I'll give you the last word. What's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
I would say go inward, close your eyes, and just start asking questions and listening to that voice of intuition or a higher power, whatever you call it. I really believe every woman on this earth has a calling, something amazing they can do to make the world better. And when we're not living that calling, we kind of can feel empty or wondering what's next, what we should be doing. But when we find it, there's just this inner spark of joy and vibrance that makes life so much more exciting. And yeah, that's my advice. Listen to your intuition.
Excellent. Dr. Jen Riday, thank you so much. Can you hold for 1 second for me?
Sure.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much for listening. What you can do now is go over to supportissexypodcast.com to find other episodes with other inspiring women entrepreneurs that I've interviewed in the past. Check them out there. And while you're there, please also make sure that you subscribe to my email list so that you don't miss an episode. You don't miss any of the great resources that I share with people. I won't spam your inbox, only the good stuff. So be sure to go to supportissexypodcast.com, click on subscribe at the top, and sign up for our email list. And until next time, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.